Well, welcome back to Knockhill. Look at that. The storm clouds are gathering above the circuit. Hopefully they won't interrupt this Motorpoint British Supersport Championship race. Those are the tyres on the back of the bikes just about to get underway. Here are the boys on the screaming 600. So let's get underway properly and hand over to our commentary team. James Hayden has made his way back to the commentary booth from the grid where he sits alongside the man kicking things off. It's Jack Burnicle.
Two Gearlink Kawasaki's on the front row of the grid, and that leads me nicely into the fact that their late lovely racer Benjamin Gautry, the Benjamin Gautry Foundation, has a Manor Biker Cafe charity weekend, the 29th and 30th of June at Bellaby in North Yorkshire. That should be a cracking weekend. Live bands, raffles and auctions, tickets 10 quid. So go and enjoy yourself at Bellaby, a lovely spot in North Yorkshire. On the warm-up laps, we've got the other two Gearlink Kawasaki's disturbing the seagulls here at Knockhill. We're not that far from the further fourth, of course. Ben Wilson, 31 years old now, will be so determined to do something about winning once again and doing the double here at this wonderful scenic circuit at Knockhill. Well, you can see that at the front, number 81, very keen to get away, Graham Gowland. Seaton Tuning, Yamaha. Phil Seaton informs me that Seaton Tuning have lost their main sponsor, who've pulled out of all UK activities. So anyone out there who wants to get behind a really terrific British Supersport team, Phil Seaton would love to hear from you. So we've got Ben Wilson on pole, Alistair Seeley second, and what about Luke Stapleford putting himself on third place on the front row of the grid? What a great result for the lad who lost the Superstock 600 Championship by a mere 1 point back in 2010. The championship looks like this. Alistair Seeley has a lead of 6 points over Stuart Easton. Billy McConnell is 35 points back in third place. Ben Wilson is fourth. Graham Gowland in fifth, ahead of Glenn Richards, sadly not racing today. Jason O'Halloran seventh for Samsung Honda, ahead of Glenn Irwin in eighth place, having seen his brother Andrew crash out of the last race. Jake Dixon is ninth, and Luke Jones, former 125 champ, in 10th. 11th place for Taylor McKenzie on the Tyco Suzuki, ahead of Richard Cooper, Oxford Tag Triumph, and his teammate Scott Smart. Dean Brown on the Appleyard Macadam Racing 14th, ahead of Luke Stapleford. Brilliant qualifying on the Triumph. Bjorn Esmond, Sam Hornsey, who had a good race in the damp yesterday. Pauli Pekkanen, another non-starter. David Payton and Luke Mossey. And this is the grid. Ben Wilson, Gearlink Kawasaki, ahead of teammate Alistair Seeley, and Luke Stapleford. What a brilliant ride by him to get himself there on the Profile Racing Triumph. And then Billy McConnell heads up row 2, ahead of Dean Brown and Luke Mossey. And row 3, Graham Gowland, Richard Cooper, Stuart Easton, having a lot of work to do from 9th place. Glenn Irwin, Scott Smart, and David Payton, very at home on his local Scottish track, make up row 4. Brilliant helmet design there. Another close-up of Ben Wilson then, the 31-year-old Lincolnshireman who absolutely romped away with yesterday's race. Can he do it again here at Knockhill on Sunday afternoon? Hitting the red limiter. Whoa, what he almost startled himself with that jump off the line, and I think Alistair Seeley might have just got the better of his teammate. No, Wilson won't have it. He beasts his way through and goes awfully wide, pulls it back across and drops down into the Scotsman. And what an amazing start by Wilson. He can you have a whole race in the space of about quarter of a mile when you've got that lad on board. And look at the gap he pulls straight away in the first third of a lap.
Well, this is one of the things that he's always been up to. He loves to get away in front. He loves to push it straight from the off. And he is digging in so hard on his first lap. We heard Alistair Seeley say it's the one thing he can't let him do, but it's the one thing he's doing. Billy McConnell up the inside. Now,
McConnell was doing a lot of this yesterday. Some really tumultuous overtaking manoeuvres into the Taylor's hairpin. They didn't always work, I must admit. Skippy was sometimes running wide and sometimes bumping into people, but at the moment it's got in through into second place on the Smiths of Gloucester Triumph, and another Triumph slips through into third place. That's Luke Stapleford. Stapleford really on fire. This number 20, he only has 20 points in the championship so far, and look at the way he's riding.
I was going to say, and look at his style. I mean, we're talking about this new modern style with your head to the side of the fairing, and that's exactly what the man in third is doing. He's got a real contemporary style there. But Ben Wilson, That is, he's got probably half, 3/4 of a second already. Incredible.
And behind him, we've got in 4th place there, Alistair Seeley getting bumped about already as we watch. Oh, another strong move into the hairpin. That's a move on Graham Gowland by Richard Cooper, I think. I think Cooperman made a move there. So Richard Cooper on the Oxford Tag Triumph. Here's there's always lots of work going on the pit wall to exhort more effort. And there is Alistair Seeley just slipping past that white Triumph of Luke Stapleford's.
Yeah, it's tight in there. You can see behind him Mossy and Gowland. I think Gowland just got up the inside. Yes, he did. So Gowland's now moved up into 5th, just slipping in the inside of Mossy there. But look at that, 1.6 seconds, 50.267, the lap record. He's 0.2 of a second off the lap record on lap 2. That is incredible. He's just pulled the pin.
So what of course he's got to do now, James, he's got to make that bike last the whole 26 laps, hasn't he? Oh, and that is, what on earth are you doing to one another, boys? All sorts of shenanigans and shoulder charging. You notice Stuart Easton pulled out of that and kept himself clear of bother and benefited from it in the end, but the little Scotsman still got a lot of work to do as he crosses the line, this time in 7th place, ahead of Richard Cooper and Glenn Irwin, who I think was the man making a meal of the hairpin.
Yeah, it was Cooper who was run really wide as well, so it cost him some time. He did square it off. But this is the battle for second and third. You can see Billy McConnell, then Seeley, and then behind them Gowland, who actually looked like one of the quickest guys on that last lap, just closing him in there. Now this is the look at these three. Look at the man on the outside, Cooper. He gets pushed wide, and so there's not much he can do there from Irwin. They both square it off.
Stuart Easton just clips through on the inside, picks himself up 2 places by keeping out of trouble.
Seeley's up the inside. It's a nice, smooth move. Oh, he runs a little wide, runs him a little wide, but he's through. But look at this, Wilson's already across the line, 50.6, and he's got a gap of, let's have a look, 2.7 seconds on lap 5, which at Knockhill, you can double that. That's like, you know, that's 5.2 seconds. That's an incredible lead.
Graham Gowland from just outside Hexham in Northumberland, looking strong there at what is virtually his home race on that red and white Seaton tuning Yamaha. And Phil Seaton was saying when he's running on his own, he's really fast round here because he can take the lines that he wants, but these fast sweeping corner speed lines of his kind of tend to let people inside him sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see this from Gowland as well, because he's been like 5th and 6th. I know he got his best result yesterday with a 4th, but you know, to go that next level, Jack, and just to be on the podium, you know, scrapping for race wins, and this is a great ride from him.
Gowler, of course, was the Spanish Supersport champion a few years back when he went and did some of his early racing on the continent after he moved in from motocross, and he's currently moving in 4th place there. But Luke Mossy, a danger man. Mossy, who finally saw his 2009 Superstock 600 lap record eclipsed in the previous race, is pushing very, very hard in 5th place.
Yeah, it's a real quality field here. And I know Ben Wilson's not making it look such with over 3 seconds now.
Again, Phil Seaton was saying there's as much strength in depth as in this British Supersport field as we've seen for quite some time. Look at that lot, that is strong. All these guys are potential race winners that we've got in picture. Back to Glenn Irwin in 9th place, and Taylor Mackenzie's now into 10th ahead of Scott Smart, Dean Brown, Jason O'Halloran 13th ahead of Jake Dixon, and David Payton in the points on the Double M Racing Yamaha.
Yeah, they really are queuing up here. And all the while, Easton now up into 6th spot, obviously. So Stuart Easton, 4 wins this year, more wins than anyone. You know, he's been the fastest man at race pace, really. Is now up into the top 6.
There's number 77, Taylor Mackenzie, and just behind him there, Scott Smart, number 88, the veteran, of course, British 250 champion umpteen years ago. As we look back at the front with Billy McConnell hanging on to the back of Alistair Seeley, who seemed to be in agreement with you, James, that this Gearlink Kawasaki really suits him. He's very comfortable on the bike. Yeah, I mean, and he said just on the grid walk, obviously, the 600s are his thing. You know, he's the right size for them. But he's got a lovely, he doesn't make mistakes, he's got a nice style, he's got a lovely feel for a motorcycle, and, you know, well, it speaks to himself. Seven finishes, 7 podiums, and the championship lead, all by 6 points. Stuart Easton there, just having a big look up the inside of Mossy there for 5th. Couldn't make it stick on that lap. It is hard to do in turn 1. Easton is struggling. He's just not quite late enough on the brakes to make these moves happen, either into the hairpin or at the end of the main straight.
Yeah,
And, so at the moment, struggling a little bit down in 6th place. He needs the point, James, after only getting 3rd place yesterday. Here he comes. Oh, now I think he might have surprised Luke Mossey. He moved up on the inside of the Triumph. What a brilliant move by Easton. I think that's circuit knowledge, James. That was superb.
He set him up at the chicane, and he just got the run to... Look at Mossey's fighting back, but he did a really nice job there. Looks like he's going to know it, didn't it? Looked like he'd go a little bit wide. He just had the bike drifting a bit. You saw Cooper as well, trying to square it up the inside of Mossey. The two Triumphs and the Yamaha having a real battle there.
Wilson's 3.13 seconds ahead on the 9th of 26 laps. That's amazing. So we've 1/3 race distance, and the Lincolnshireman's over 3 seconds in front of his teammate.
Well, this is what he wanted to do. This is how he won the race yesterday, and we've seen him, win these in the past like this. Look, he's already on a back marker there. He's going to be on the back marker by the end of this lap. So look at Ben Wilson ride, though. He's the busiest rider. He's all excitement. Look at him using every inch of the curb.
I can't believe the back marker is Sam Hornsey. I think the Shropshire lad must have had something happen to the bike, because he was the best Suzuki yesterday. Brilliantly held off Taylor Mackenzie throughout the race. Here's a move on Gowland's red and white machine by that blue Martrain Yamaha Scotsman Stuart Easton. He moves through ever so neatly into 4th place. So number 5, Easton, in pursuit of number 3, Billy McConnell.
Yeah, and really the man he's most interested in is Alistair Seeley, number 34. That bike there, the green bike in 2nd spot, the Gearling Kawasaki, because he's the man who leads him in the championship by 6 points and in about 2 seconds on the road. So he's the man he's going to be concentrating. We want to get past McConnell as soon as he can.
Sam Hornsey there on the black machine. He's been into the pits. He's been into the pits. He's a couple of laps down, and he's rejoined at a rather unfortunate point, because he's going to have all this lot all over him very soon.
Well, he'd be best off at 2 laps down, and just to make sure he gets out of the way and lets them all pass, and then and he has done exactly that. Good boy, Sam. Perfect.
Up the hill, out of the hairpin then. Wilson, Seeley, McConnell, Easton. Gowland in 5th place, Mossey in 6th. And then it's Cooper, Stapleford. There's a trio of Triumphs in there ahead of Glenn Irwin and Taylor Mackenzie, the leading Suzuki. That's Richard Cooper, the former Superstock 1000 champion, pestering the life out of Luke Mossey.
Yeah.
Great rear shot of them going through the Arnold Clark chicane. McConnell on a 50.9, and look how much quicker Easton was on that lap.
Yeah, it looks like McConnell's just holding Stuart Easton up fractionally. To me, Easton's going to be desperate.
Easton got a good drive there through Hizzies. But look how late Billy is on the brakes.
Too late? No. He squares it up, but then little Stuart Easton, he only weighs the same as a bag of sugar. I think he's already passed him on the straight.
As heavy as that. As we come over the top of the little line, and Easton pulled a brilliant move by moving from right to left and getting round Billy McConnell.
Well, he squared it off, and he got the bike, stood up and fired out that at the last turn, the little hairpin, a little bit better than Billy, and also that's what I'm saying, he's light, and so the two differences just meant that he could pull alongside him and get past him before he even got to the corner.
There's the leader. The gap had gone down by 1/10 of a second. These are the 3 men squabbling over 3rd place. So now that Easton's through, you'd expect that he might, he couldn't close the gap on Alistair Seeley yesterday, could he?
No, I think he looks a lot more comfortable today, though. It's 1.1 seconds, roughly. So we'll have a good look at what it is now. He's still got half the race to go. And, it looks about a second. If it's just chip away, that's all you can do on this track. You can't grab great clumps of time. You just got to take a 10th here, a 10th there. Let's have a look. 0.9 it is.
I reckon Stuart Easton probably felt good after he'd done 3 laps on the late Steve Hislop's Monster Mob Ducati this morning. He probably thought, oh, this feels good. Now I can get back on the Martrain Yamaha and really cut some laps.
Well, he was, of course, a bit of a protege of Steve Hislop, and, he has a very similar style, actually. It was the one man I just didn't get a chance to speak to him on the grid walk, but I did want to speak to Stuart Easton. Obviously, he's 2nd in the championship, 4 wins, more than anyone, and just riding superb. And he's another man that just looks designed for 600s, doesn't he?
Yes, yeah. Wilson is about to come up and cross the line. and he will have completed 12 laps. He does that now, and his lead 2.9, so his lead is just being clipped fractionally every lap at the moment by Alistair Seeley.
But more importantly, Seeley's was clipped by nearly 0.4 of a second by Easton in third. So Easton is catching Alistair Seeley, and that's why there's a little bit of time gone in between him and Billy McConnell as well. Easton's looking very strong for me.
So Wilson, Seeley, Easton at the front. There is Alistair Seeley, number 34. That's the man on the move, Martrain Yamaha's Scotsman.
So you got Kawasaki, Yamaha, then Triumph, then Yamaha here in this battle for second.
Stuart Easton, who's originally a car mechanic from Hawick. He's 20. It's hard to believe that he's coming up toward 30 years old, James. Next month he'll turn 30 and he still looks 15 at most.
Perfect.
Dropping down the hill. Do you know?
Wow. Seeley using all the curve.
God.
That looked like a little fraction of concentration there, because that's not somewhere you want to be using the curve on that turn one. So maybe he looked at his board, maybe he sees someone's coming. It's down to 0.3 of a second. Remember, it was 1.1 seconds, so just lost a little bit of concentration there. He's feeling the pressure.
Triumph's running 4th, 6th, 7th and 8th at the moment out of that top 10, and that's fairly suited really, because you know, it's always we see Stuart Easton come up alongside Alistair Seeley, but Seeley late on the brakes with the swoop into the hairpin. I was going to say 10 years to the weekend since the late Craig Jones first put a Triumph on pole position in a British Supersport race. Is it really that long ago? They've been around near the top for a long time, haven't they? Oh, look at Easton. How tidy was that? Just clipped in front of number 34, Alistair Seeley. Yeah. Two tidy riders together.
Yeah, two superb riders.
Now, has Easton got time to do anything about Wilson? Is 3 seconds up the road, James Hayden?
No, I don't see it, because the point is they're all lapping within a couple of tenths of each other, and I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Never say never. But at the moment, you've got to say Wilson looks like he can control this race.
So Ben Wilson leads it. Stuart Easton there in second place. Third place, number 34. That is the championship leader, Alistair Seeley. The others need to cut some points back on Seeley. The other thing about Seeley, James, is and there's a problem. O'Halloran.
Look at his fairing. Look at his fairing.
The Samsung Honda, for the second time this weekend, the Australians' race is run. So the man from Wollongong is out of the race.
Well, that's odd, because obviously he hasn't been off, but it looked like all his fairing had come apart there, and it just looked a bit more terminal than that. You could still ride if your fairing had clipped off, so there's got to be a bit more to it than that. That is where he's pulled over. Now this lead has shrunk 2.7, so he took 0.4 of a second off him.
50.488 on that lap, so he's creeping down. We've got 2/3 race distance complete, and that is Stuart Easton, the man on the move on the Irish Martrain Yamaha.
Well, if he keeps on doing those lap times, then yeah, the answer is yes, he could catch.
And a great battle developing between McConnell and Gowland for 4th place. Number 3 versus the red and white number 81, the Seaton Tuning Yamaha. And behind them, we've got Cooper, Mossy, Irwin. Stapleford has been pushed back to 9th place, just ahead of Scott Smart in 10th.
Jack, and look at this, Easton's taken another half a second out of Wilson. That lead is now down to 2.2 seconds. So 51.0 for Wilson, a 50.5 for Easton. So Easton, the Scot, is on the move. He's at his home race, it's a big crowd, conditions are perfect. Second in the championship, second on the race, but after that, leader.
And of course, the gap is only 6 points between Stuart Easton and Alistair Seeley in the championship. If he could actually get the better of the leader at the moment, then that would make the difference. That would put him into the lead in the championship if Alistair remained third. But that is the gap. Let's check the gap once again as they come across the top. Wilson, lap 18, 50.63. And he's responded. Easton, 50.61.
He has responded.
So that gap remains at 2.2.
That's exactly what he needed to do as well, because if he responds and Easton sees that he can't close that in, he'll probably try for a few more laps and then try and consolidate. So it's the right thing for Ben Wilson to be doing there.
James, this track is so busy. There's so many of these fabulous blind brows. It's one of the things that makes it fabulous to watch for a spectator around the outside as the bikes just vault up over these crests.
Yeah, I tell you what, and on a super bike, you literally get nowhere to rest. You know, because even the straight, you've got to get it flicked over, try and stop it wheeling, and, you know, it is a very, very frantic circuit.
Dropping back into the hairpin once again. These are the men running in 4th and 5th places. You can see in the background the trio of Cooper, Mossy and Irwin are locked together now. There's number 47, Richard Cooper. Good ride from the little Nottinghamshireman ahead of the tall, languid Cambridgeshire lad there, Luke Mossy.
Now Easton hasn't given up. He took 3 more tenths off him on that lap, down to 1.9 seconds. So it's the first time we've seen it below 2, so he's still chipping away. 50.8 it was for Wilson, 50.5 for Easton, and that is the gap.
Ben Wilson, you know, just making you take a sharp intake of breath in the usual way in which he digs the front end of that Galen Kawasaki and lets it move. He says since he started sand racing as a kid at Mablethorpe in his native Lincolnshire, he doesn't mind motorbikes moving around underneath him.
He certainly does it. In fact, he loves it when they move around underneath him.
That's the second Martrain Yamaha. Glenn Irwin really closing up on Mossy on the brakes.
He was. These are a right couple of scrappers as well. These two will have a good ding-dong. Triumph via Yamaha.
On the 21st lap of 26. So the laps available to Stuart Easton are just beginning to drain away now. Wilson still has that 1.9 second advantage as Glenn Irwin cuts underneath at the Scotsman. And rather oddly there, Mossy looks straight over his shoulder to see if there's anybody else to come through. But no, it's just that one man who's got the better of him and moved into 7th. Yeah,
he has. Irwin up there. 8th. Stapleford still in 9th. Scott Smart's now up into the top 10 as well in 10th with Taylor McKenzie 11th.
Back markers coming into play. Now things could get interesting. I think this is probably Adam Blacklock sits up. I think Nicky Coates might be in there as well. No, it's the number 4 bike. It's Craig Neve, who was unlucky to crash out of the race yesterday. He pulls across. He's lying in 20th place.
Yeah, they nearly matched each other on that lap, so the gap stays exactly the same at 1.9 seconds between Wilson and Easton. And here is Easton, and you can see, but back markers can play a big part. If Ben Wilson just gets held up a fraction and Stuart doesn't, but he's been through really clean. Stuart's through clean as well, so the battle's back.
There's number 34, Seeley. There's number 3. Do you know, what surprised me is, if anything, McConnell and Gowland are just beginning to creep back on Alistair Seeley, which I didn't expect.
No, I agree. I think they're just having 4 laps to go. They're just having a bit of a new lease of life.
So Skippy McConnell not out of this battle, of course. He's 3rd in the championship on 107 points. If he could get the better of Alistair Seeley, every point would count if he could just sneak a few points back on the little Irishman. Yeah,
Billy hasn't won so far this year, but he's finished every race, 4 podiums, and as you say, 3rd in the championship. He is right back on him. He's worked hard to do this.
Do you know, Stuart Easton has never won at this track. Ben Wilson was the winner of this race in 2009. And again in 2011, Billy McConnell won in 2012. But we've never seen a victory for number 5, Stuart Easton. But look at this, McConnell is right back with Alistair Seeley.
Yeah, Seeley doing the right thing though there. Oh no, I said that. But look at Billy McConnell, he comes straight back and has a go. Runs him a fraction wide. Seeley's going to square it off. That will go all the way.
That did surprise me. So McConnell has really come on with a 50.5 lap on the last lap. That was his fastest lap of the race, and that's punted him through the 3rd place on the Smith to Gloucester Triumph.
Now, interestingly as well, Easton has really backed it off that last lap, and that gap has gone back up, so he stopped trying. He's consolidated for 2nd spot. Wilson is controlling it at the front, but this is the battle for 3rd.
So now with a possible 16 points, I'm just working out that my paltry maths are struggling here. I think if they stayed where they are now,
Easton would be leading the championship.
Easton would be leading by 1 point. But if Alistair Seeley can look at Seeley is not going to take this line down. He's going to come back at Billy McConnell as the Australian from Adelaide breaks hard on the Triumph. Oh, and lets Seeley through. Just gets a bit overcooked into Taylor's hairpin. So on the 25th of 26 laps, 2 laps to go in which Billy McConnell can possibly do something about Alistair Seeley once again. Seeley, of course, will cling on to his advantage in the championship if he stays here in 3rd place.
Yeah, if he stays in 3rd, he leads it by 2 points. and if he finishes behind, he trails it by 1 point.
Very good, Jay. Did you pass your O-level maths, did you?
Flying colours.
I'm very impressed. And of course, Graham Gowland, you've said that Gowland needs to get out of that 5th place rut. Well, he's in it at the moment, James, but it's a much more competitive one at the moment.
Yeah.
Running right with Seeley and McConnell.
No, it is. It's a great ride from Gowland. We know what he can do. And look at Billy McConnell on the inside here. Yes, oh, they're both going to go a bit wide. What's Gowler going to do?
Go on, Gowler. Gowler gets underneath. Oh, but as the Yamaha got the speed up the straight, not quite. The wee wizard is flyweight on the bright green number 34 machine. He's going to come straight back at McConnell as they drop down the hill.
So we start the last lap, and this is the battle. Billy McConnell 3rd, Seeley 4th, Gowland 5th, and this is going to go all the way. It's going to be at the hairpin for the last lap where it's going to see all the moves take place.
Ben Wilson is in the lead at the moment. 2nd is Stuart Easton. This is the enthralling battle for 3rd place in the final podium slot and the lead in the championship. McConnell has not been able to get away. Seeley will have him at the hairpin. He's got to. He comes driving out of his. Now, what can McConnell do to defend this?
He's got to cover his line. He's got to force him to the outside. That's exactly what he's done. Now, is he going to go wide? Now, he's got to the apex first. He's held it.
The drive up the hill as the talk of the Smiths of Gloucester racing drivers. Ben Wilson wins. 2nd place for Stuart Easton. And up across the line, McConnell takes it from Alistair Seeley and Graham Gowland. Richard Cooper, an excellent 6th. And that means, as hugs all round there, that's the double for dear Ben Wilson for Gearlink Kawasaki. 2nd place for Stuart Easton. Great result, and it slips him, although he won't be aware of it, into the championship lead by a single point ahead of Alistair Seeley. Billy McConnell there. Congratulations, Wilson. And that was a terrific race between the two of them.
Yeah, it was a great race. And what have we got to say about Ben Wilson as well? He hadn't even been on the podium since last year, and a double win, and not just a double win, a domination here. You know, he really took them apart right from the off. That was Ben Wilson, as good as he's ridden.
Fastest lap as well.
In both races, today and yesterday.
Well, it's impressive. Pole position, fastest lap, race victory. It's the new helmet design, that very splendid new helmet design. Norma Dubidalf there, the blonde lady on the far side without the spectacles, is absolutely enthralled with that. She, of course, part team owner with her husband Michael of the Gearlink Kawasaki squad. And that new shark helmet design, that is superb, and it's lifted Ben Wilson onto the top of the podium for a 2nd time this weekend. Wow. Well,
catch our breath.
Wilson, it's good to see Ben Wilson soaking up the accolades again. Do you know what? He seemed a bit more relaxed to me this weekend. You know, for him to even consider speaking to you on the grid walk, James.
I didn't give him much choice.
You didn't give him much choice, but at least he was able to have a quick word with you. And, you know, Ben, he can get pretty fiercely focused at times.
Yeah, and that's never a bad thing. And no, you're right. He did have a word. I think he just knew he could do it. Having sort of done it yesterday as well, you know, he knew he could repeat it, and that was still very difficult because they all knew what they couldn't let him do, and that was get away at the front, but he still managed to do it.
Regardless, he didn't he? He just initially blew them away, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that means that Ben Wilson, with another 25 points, moves to 124 in the championship table. So, interestingly, he's beginning to squeeze himself back into contention here. Alistair Seeley will have 13 points to move to 155. Stuart Easton moves past him onto 156. Ben Wilson, there we go. 2 number 1s for the Lincolnshire. Michael Dibidaf there gives him a big hug. And I think he's going to get one from Norma. The big squeeze from Norma as well.
Oh, but he deserves it. That's a great weekend's work for him. And I make him, he's going to be within a point or so of McConnell in 3rd as well, isn't he? It's going to be really tight there.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Ben Wilson wins it. Stuart Easton 2nd. Billy McConnell a fine 3rd after a spiffing scrap with Alistair Seeley. Graham Gowland 5th ahead of Richard Cooper. Glenn Irwin's Yamaha, the 2nd Martrain Yamaha, intrudes on the triumphs and gets the better of Luke Mossey and Luke Stapleford, and Scott Smart into the top 10 ahead of Taylor Mackenzie's Tyco Suzuki. Jake Dixon leading the Privateers Cup for what it's worth. David Payton 13th. Dean Brown 14th. Good ride from Payton. Sean Winfield grabs the last point from the jaunty Ulsterman John Simpson ahead of Bjorn Estment. Rob Guyver, last year's Triumph Triple Challenge champion. Jake Newstead and Craig Neve. So now we check out whether Main James had managed, well, with his O-level maths, he's bound to have got it right. And look at that, Easton 156, 155 to Seeley, and James was spot on. Ben Wilson has moved a point past Billy McConnell into third place in the championship, very much in touch ahead of McConnell's Triumph. Gowland is in 5th place. Richards, who couldn't race because of shoulder injury, 6th. Glenn Irwin 7th, ahead of Jason O'Halloran, Jake Dixon and Richard Cooper. 11th for Taylor McKenzie, which is where he finished in the race, ahead of Luke Jones, Scott Smart. Luke Stapleford moves up to 14th, ahead of Dean Brown, Luke Mossey. Bjorn Estmont, 17th. David Payton, 18th, ahead of Sam Hornsey and Pauli Pekkanen.
Well, it's another podium this year for our third-place finisher, Billy McConnell. Billy, there were some moves going into that hairpin.
Yeah, Venezuela. Yeah, it was hard to get in there. You know, the boys have been riding really hard, and I just want to give some credit back to Triumph Factory and the Smiths Triumph team for working so hard. They've really worked day and night, you know, to get me and Glenn up there. Shame Glenn wasn't there, but, you know, we're chipping away there. The new bike's getting really good, so big credit to Smiths, all my sponsors, We Buy Any Bike, Mode, Property Development, GI Moto, GB Racing. The whole Smiths team have worked really hard. That's all I can say, and big credit. But, you know, we're still getting gapped on the weekends, which is really frustrating. We'd like to bring it back a bit, but, you know, we've got to take the positives out of everything. We had a problem with some stuff yesterday in yesterday's race. And, yeah, we come back and we got a gap, and we come back in. So it was a bit argy-bargy there with Seeley, but, you know, he's a good racer, and he doesn't mind doing it back. So, you know, I wasn't going to let it go easy, that's for sure.
No, we certainly don't mind watching it. Great entertainment, as always. Billy, we'll let you go to the podium. Well done.
Cheers, thanks.
There we go, Billy McConnell, our second-place finisher, and our third-place finisher, rather. Second-place finisher is Stuart Easton. Stuart, you lead the championship now. It's only a point, but you lead the championship. And I bet if we'd said that to you before this weekend, you'd have taken it.
It's good to lead the championship. I mean, it's been a tough weekend for me. Made it hard work for myself and the team when I crashed on Saturday morning in qualifying. So we're on row 5 of the grid on the first race. Managed to get a third, and then row 3 of the grid for today. So I think I was 9th on lap 1, so it was really hard work, you know, trying to get through. And the time I got through, gut was just a wee bit too big to fully close.
Bike looked like quite a missile, though, coming up the hill.
The bike's definitely quick. It's getting good grip off the hairpin. I think the setup was good in some areas, maybe could have been better in others, but it's the usual story. But no, it's nice to lead the championship. It's been a tough weekend, but productive weekend.
I know how much pressure you put on yourself because this is the home round. You wanted to do well in front of the Knockhill crowd. I'd say you did pretty well.
Well, I've still never won here. That's gutting, but fair play to Ben. He showed what getting away at the front does here, instead of being on 9th on lap 1. But fair play to Ben, and it's good to beat Alistair for the championship points.
Well, you lead, so onward and upward to Snetterton in 2 weeks' time. Look forward to seeing you there.
Yep, we'll do our homework and come back and try and win again.
Look forward to it. Cheers, Stuart. We'll let Stuart go to the podium. And now our race winner, Ben Wilson. Well, normally we make a big deal, Ben, out of the gentleman's set pole, fastest lap and a win. You've got 2 poles, 2 fastest laps and 2 wins. You're not a gentleman, you're a beast. The beast, Ben Wilson, is back. Love it. How do you feel?
I felt fantastic. You know, it was good for me, good for my team. My team have put a fantastic bike underneath me this weekend. You know, they've worked so hard in the break, and we've been away testing and done some homework, and we've come back strong. And it's just proved this weekend that we've got the pace. And you know, it's a massive thanks to my team. And you know, I've worked hard. Everybody else at home's worked hard with me, and you know, it's really good.
You're a mere slip of a man compared with what you used to be. You've been in the gym, you've been really hitting it hard. You now feel like the benefits are coming?
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's not just down to me. You know, my team put a fantastic bike underneath me as well, but I've worked really hard. But I wouldn't be here without any of my sponsors, so I'd just like to thank Val Livestock, Tim Todd Surfacing, Artemise for their paint job on my lid, everybody else who's helped me, my girlfriend Fran at home who's hopefully watching, love her to bits, and yeah, my dad's watching at home, so happy Father's Day to my dad, and we'll get back home and see you all soon.
Nicely done. Poor girlfriend does have to put up with a lot with you, but we'll sidestep that. Snetterton in 2 weeks' time. Look forward to seeing you back there.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
There you go, Ben Wilson, Gillian Kawasaki, a man who's done it twice this weekend. Mr. 200%. He's making his way to the podium, so let's have some Jack.
Great start for Ben Wilson. Alistair Seeley said that he had to try and keep his teammate in check. He tried to as they went down in the first turn, but Ben just wasn't having it and somehow elbowed his teammate aside on the Gillian Kawasaki's. And from that point onwards, he ripped away at the front so early on, while the rest of them got into all sorts of mayhem and mischief, trying to outbreak one another into that Taylor's hairpin. Alistair Seeley pulled a hot move on number 3, Billy McConnell, on the Triumph, pushed his way through into second place. Stuart Easton, 9th on the first lap. Bike number 5 was coming all the time, and he poured his way up over the hill there, got the Martrain Yamaha level with McConnell and passed the Australian down into turn 1. And then he also did this to number 34, Alistair Seeley. 2 immaculate riders together, and the tiny Scotsman takes the tiny Ulsterman as they drop down into the first turn. And then Billy McConnell, back on the game, tries to get the better of Alistair Seeley. Graham Gowland gets in on the act. The 3 of them come up the hill together. McConnell is back into 3rd place on bike number 3. And he manages to hold on to it on the final lap in a dramatic finish. Ben Wilson takes a brilliant win, his 2nd of the weekend. Stuart Easton 2nd, the championship leader, because Billy McConnell fends off Alistair Seeley on the way up the hill. Great ride by Wilson. He was out of sight. Congratulations to Itemize. What a great helmet design. And also to Richard Wilson back home. He runs a bike shop in Lincolnshire with his son. And happy Dad's Day, as Ben said. Richard, hope you're having a nice day then. I hope you particularly enjoyed that performance by your son. Pole position, record lap, and fastest lap rather, and win both yesterday and today. Really impressive weekend for Ben Wilson. The guy who first raced on Mablethorpe Beach in 1991 and had his first road race at Cadwell Park in 1996. And his first win at Three Sisters outside Wigan in Lancashire in 1997, and won that first Junior 600 Superstock Championship that was ever held in 2001. A great race then by Ben Wilson, his 2nd of the weekend. He's right back in the championship chase.
Fantastic result there for Gillian Kawasaki, Ben Wilson. 2 poles, 2 fastest laps, 2 wins. Nobody could hold a light to the Gearlink Kawasaki man here at Knockhill. We're going for a short break. When we come back, we have plenty of race analysis and BSB Race 2.